Alright, YouTube, so last night I saw the movie Sinners, but I didn't just see the movie Sinners, I saw it in Dolby Cinema, which is a cinema designed to enhance the sound with precision and all this funny cinematic technology that I don't know the logistics behind, but what I do know is it made the movie all the more epic and all the more intense and thrilling, so really glad I saw it in an advanced theater rather than just a standard modern movie theater, because I feel like, the extra IMAX and Dolby type thing really made it all that much better. But enough about logistics of movie sounds. I'll talk about, this movie and my opinions on it. So I absolutely loved it. As I predicted, it's the best movie of the year so far, although maybe some other movies down the line will overthrow it, but I did definitely think that this year had a slow start to movies with a few small exceptions, but this I had hope and anticipation that it would sort of kick off the spring and even summer sorta to a great start, and it's definitely doing exactly that, although a lot of the movies I'm excited for aren't until much later in spring or even close to summer. But this movie was definitely a great watch. Speaking of sounds, as I mentioned, the sounds of like the sound effects, I should also mention the soundtrack, and the music was beautiful in this movie. I really love the original composed songs made by the actors and director, who I thought did a great job with this movie, especially with his IMAX cameras, which I heard were used in this movie, though I don't know too much about IMAX cameras, but I do know, and I have been looking on a few Reddit forums, that many people agree that this movie is great to see on theaters and great to see on the big screen and in theaters, and the way it's meant to be seen. Granted, all movies are pretty much like that, but this one especially, if you have to see a movie of 2025 on the big screen in the theaters, this one's definitely it. But I will say, when the movie first started and it had its opening scene, I thought that was super interesting, with the lady narrating of sort of the lore and the folklore behind the vampires and the other characters. I definitely like the twin brother dynamic, because I thought the brothers had really good chemistry and a good relationship with each other. And I'm not, like I said, it's a spoiler-free review, but certain things do happen later in the movie that definitely compromises that relationship, which definitely felt real and interesting. I think it was super cool to see, a guy playing pretty much two roles, because, that's kind of an interesting thing, although I know in Attack of the Clones and the Star Wars prequel trilogy that guy that plays Jango Fett plays many roles, which, can't beat that, but this is definitely a close second. But, moving on to more about Sinners. I heard that some of the characters, particularly the villains, were inspired from the villains from Puss in Boots 2, which was an amazing animated movie. I absolutely loved it. Haven't really seen it since the first time I watched it, but I remember being blown away, and mind you, I watched that on a TV screen, not even in the theaters, so can't imagine how much better it would have been, or how much even better it would have been if I saw it on the big screen. But I'll definitely say that the wolf death villain of Puss in Boots 2 definitely resembles and some character lore and inspiration of the vampires in Sinners, which I think was super cool, and I definitely see Ryan's inspiration and whatnot off Puss in Boots 2, so shout out to Puss in Boots 2 for inspiring this movie as well, because I've loved both those movies, this Sinners and Puss in Boots 2. So I'll definitely say that although the movie is definitely vampire themed, that it's not a horror movie, at least not the way I viewed it. I mean, it had a few horror jump scare like scenes, but it was definitely not like, a Nosferatu type horror movie at all, which that movie was amazing, by the way, and this one's too. So I think both these movies have good interpretations of vampires, and they were both really worth the wait, because I was really excited to see Nosferatu in 2024, and it was worth waiting the whole year for. Whereas this movie, I wasn't quite as anticipated, as I didn't see the lore, but it definitely, despite the slow start of 2025 movies, this was definitely worth the wait and worth a few of the slower movies from earlier this year. So overall, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. Would definitely recommend seeing it on a theater and a big screen. Even if you can't do it in IMAX or Dolby, it's definitely worth seeing on the big screen. So overall, great movie, great acting, great visuals, and thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned more soon. Goodbye.